Situation update for Tuesday, December 28th, 2021. Thank you for joining me. Mike Adams here. Today we're digging deeper down the rabbit hole, and it's getting disturbing because the fakery of it all is becoming more and more apparent. There's a lot more fakery to all of this, and it looks like Trump is an actor as well. We're going to get into that. But first, let me read you this. Remember the woman on the Delta flight just the other day who was screaming and spitting at this guy, and he said, "Shut up, Karen," and she just lost her mind. Went crazy because he had pulled down his mask while eating, and she was arrested and she was booked. Guess what? Guess what we just learned about her? According to Heavy.com, her name is Patricia Cornwall. She's a former Playboy model and an actress, a Baywatch actress. And she's accused of causing a fight that injured passengers and employees on the Delta flight that landed in Atlanta. You've probably seen that video. She previously used the name Patty Breton, Breton. And as Patty Breton, she's an actress known for Baywatch, Married with Children, and Playboy cheerleaders. And on Facebook, though, she goes by the name Patty Cornwall. So here we have an actress in a crisis. Interesting. Don't confuse her, by the way, with Patricia Cornwall or Patricia Cornwell, who is an author who writes adventure books and things like that. This is Patricia Cornwall. All right, so here we have an actress. Interesting, isn't it? What are these events doing to America psychologically? Who's real? And this is an article by Eric Stryker, and I'm just going to read this for you. They're prominent guests on Fox. They lead grassroots rallies. They write columns at The Blaze. They are keynote speakers at CPAC. A few were even used to blackmail perceived enemies of Israeli interests, and they all got their start as actors and models at the same Israeli-owned talent agency. These up-and-coming conservative superstars appear to have had or currently still have active profiles up at the shadowy Israeli-born pornographer Ami Shafrir's Explore Talent. And it goes on to say, National Justice has identified the following household names in the world of Republican Party politics as being actors or models featured for hire on the site in the last 10 years. Now, let me just back up here and interrupt myself because I had never heard of this website, National Justice, until this story popped up. And the website is national-justice.com. And the writer there is Eric Stryker. And so if you go to nationaljustice.com, let's just go through some of their headlines just to provide some context of this website and what they tend to focus on. So one headline, a mentally disturbed FBI informant claims he foiled a Ku Klux Klan murder plot, but here's what he really did. Another headline, Waukesha, alleged attacker is a convicted pedophile, repeat felon, and self-described black terrorist who preached violence against white people. What do we have? Charlottesville trial part 14, Kessler and Cantwell called by plaintiffs. Feds arrest man for buying legal solvent trap after finding books in his house that they believe are racist. Why Trump endorsed Jeff Sessions' open borders opponent, and so on and so forth. So these are politically oriented articles that are most definitely independent-minded articles, and UNZ publishes a lot of good work. So these are just data points, folks, to keep in mind. But let me get back to the story of what they're actually saying here. So according to this story, a lot of rising Republican Party influencers have been, in effect, hired out of a talent agency. And according to this story, again, from National Justice, it includes Tomi Lahren and Scott Pressler and other people. Everything is theatrical, like when she cried in front of that chain link fence many miles from the border, just to have a photograph moment. It's all acting. It's all staged. And we've known about the staging of leftists for a very long time. The story that's emerging now is that many conservatives may be professional actors. This whole thing may be a bunch of actors. And in fact, Trump himself may be an actor in all of this. He was in one of the Home Alone movies, obviously, as well, with Macaulay Culkin. That's true. So continuing this story, if you go to the website of Dr. What Are You Up To, Girl? Because you're weaving a story and nobody's buying it. Candace actually said, I don't believe that Trump is on the internet or that he necessarily uses the web to try to find obscure websites. I think he just relies on typical mainstream sources. Just wanted to say that he needs to sit down and just have a full conversation with someone, so on and so forth. Okay. Nobody's buying that. The commentary doesn't add up. And then Dr. Blumenthal brings in this tweet from Mike Cernovich, who, in response to the video interview of, between Trump and Candace Owens, Cernovich tweets, quote, "This video is the end of Trump. He will never be president again. He was always able to make a comeback as he seemed strong. The illusion of a warrior who fights is over." Something's going on here. That's the honest truth. Alex is right. And Alex is being honest about it. And Alex is not playing politics. In fact, if you know anything about Alex Jones, and I mean, I do have private text conversations with Alex from time to time, he is 100% transparent. He does not play politics, however that works. I've seen those kind of weird, twisted arguments, and it's all convoluted. And it's a bunch of excuse making. At the same time, I've received messages, texts, emails from literally dozens of top influencers, top people in the industry, top people in independent media. Credible they must be, because they weren't recruited for their looks. How about that? Just take a look around, make sure that someone doesn't look too good, not like a supermodel. You don't want supermodels, probably not a real person, probably just an actor or an actress. Make sure that they look real and maybe real ugly. Maybe the next time I get on with Alan Keyes on the IMTV show, we'll have a competition between myself, Alan Keyes, and Bob Sisson. It'll be like, who's uglier and more credible? And we'll all try to out ugly each other on the show and see how that goes. But the point is, none of us are pretty boys. Right? We're obviously not models. Obviously. If it wasn't for our minds, no one would have anything to do with us. But we live in such a shallow society right now. It's so shallow that people are judged based almost entirely on their looks. And only when they have the right look, then their message is believed to be true, because the typical information consumer out there equates good looks with truthful message, even though that's hardly ever the case. And by the way, as a little tangent here, there's a new film called Look Up, new movie. And it's a comedy. Well, it's kind of a satire comedy, a little bit of an idiocracy film. And it's starring Leonardo DiCaprio and Jennifer Lawrence and Jonah Hill and others. And even though it's a film put together by lots of liberals, the movie perfectly captures and I mean, even in the movie, this is what's so great about the movie. It really is worth watching. It's well done. It's great. In the movie, they're about to launch a bunch of rockets to intercept the comet and blast it to bits so that it does not impact the Earth and cause an extinction level event and kill all human civilization. But then as the rockets are in the air, the whole mission is canceled and the rockets turn around and come back to Earth. And it's canceled because this big business guy who kind of represents sort of the Mark Zuckerberg of the movie, his scientists tell him that the asteroid that's approaching is full of rare earth minerals that are used to manufacture electronics, and that the comet has $140 trillion worth of minerals, and therefore they need to bring it to Earth. Yeah, that's right. It's like they're so interested in pursuing greed that they want to get hit by a giant comet because it brings with it these heavy metals or rare metals that are used to manufacture electronics that boosts profits. But they want to split it up into 30 different smaller chunks and have the chunks land in the ocean, setting off tsunamis, by the way, devastating the coastlines of third world nations. But they don't care. As long as they get the rare earth minerals, then they're happy. So they cancel the plan to blow up the comet. They want it to hit Earth now because of the profit that it brings with it. And the character played by Leonardo DiCaprio is screaming on live television, "Have you all lost your effing minds? This is a comet coming to Earth. We're all going to be destroyed unless we stop the comet. And all you care about is how much money you're going to make from the mining rights to these giant space rocks. And if they hit the oceans, you know what's going to happen. Tidal waves everywhere around the planet and the whole deal. It's going to cause global famine. We're going to have a mass die-off. I mean, we are facing an extinction level event right here because of the stupidity of the world. And yet, the only thing that people care about, the masses anyway, is, oh, how good does someone look? How do they poll? How are they rating? He's got all these options. And do you remember when Patrick Byrne went to the White House? And who else was there? You know, a lot of top people went in there and tried to advise President Trump. And Patrick Byrne even said that this is crazy. Trump's not doing anything. And they're just shutting everything down. And if you look into the Abraham Accords, there's a lot of spooky stuff in there, actually, that, well, let's just say would not be promoted by someone who truly believed in God. And then you look at Trump and his appointees. Trump appointed James Comey, put him at the head of the FBI. Trump put Jeff Sessions in at the DOJ, and then Sessions sat on his hands and did nothing for 2 years. Trump put William Barr in place. Yeah, who else did Trump put in power? In almost every case, it was someone who was working for the globalists, someone working against humanity, time and time again. Everybody he puts in there, and then they turn against him. And then Trump put some people in on the Supreme Court who turned out to be traitors to America, right? Not just Roberts. I mean, Trump didn't put in Roberts, but I mean, not just another Roberts, but traitors who do not uphold the Constitution. All put in by Trump, while we all kept wondering, what's going on? Man, Trump has the worst luck. And Trump sits back and does nothing about it. Nothing. Even while he was president. Even while the country burned in 2020, and Trump could have invoked the Insurrection Act. He could have had the protesters and the terrorists arrested. He did nothing. Why? Because it was all part of the theatrical production. And the answer is staring us right in the face. The answer is to clear the Great Plains of America. That's right. In fact, there's another article on WentworthReport.com about this that sort of restates what I've been saying for this entire time, that China can't feed itself. China needs North America's farmland in order to produce enough food to sustain the CCP empire. And one of the things that made America great from the start was that it was largely empty when the colonists found it. Yes, there were natives, and the natives were in many ways systematically murdered, slaughtered, moved around, pushed off their lands, and so on. And then the colonists, who became later the Americans, took over America and enjoyed the abundance of the land and the resources, the rivers, the farmland, the minerals, the oil, all of it. So I don't care. Even if President Trump called up Alex Jones and promised him $1 billion if he'll just sell out the children and jump on the vaccine bandwagon, Alex would not do it. I can guarantee you 100% Alex would not do it, because Alex won't sacrifice children for money. unlike the globalists, unlike leftists, unlike even many conservatives, unlike a lot of business people as well. A lot of business people will sacrifice children for profit. I'm not even sure he could walk it back now if he wanted to. There will be no more. Trump isn't coming back. There's not going to be a Trump presidency. And there's not some super secret plan to reinstate Trump and arrest all the bad guys. Trump is one of the bad guys. Understand? That's where we are now. And it's all because China wants to sterilize, or really ethnic cleanse, North America. China needs the farmland. So who's running Trump? Not sure. I really don't know exactly who's running Trump. But it isn't Jesus. Say that much. Trump was reading from scripture and he didn't even know to say 2 Corinthians. Remember that? He started out 2 Corinthians, and the joke was like, oh, these 2 Corinthians walk into a bar. This is circulating all over the place. Does Trump not know about the existence of Dr. Robert Malone? Right? The inventor of mRNA technology? Does he not know about Dr. Peter McCullough, who was on with Joe Rogan? Does Trump not know who Steve Kirsch is? Or any of these people who are rolling out day after day after day? They're betraying God. They're signing a deal with the devil at that point. So, I mean, way beyond politics, way beyond the superficiality of society, this is a cosmic divine choice. You're either with God or you're with Satan. And it's pretty clear who Trump has chosen. That's all I'm saying there. It's pretty clear who Trump has chosen to side with. But again, the genius of the plan to get the American people to sit back for 4 years or 5 years and do nothing while their country was stolen out from underneath them. Wow, that's some evil genius plan right there. Because the American people, those who love their country and those who supported Trump, they will do a lot based on just hope, as long as they can be given hope, And I admit there were times I had a lot more hope about what was going to happen. I mean, there are very few exceptions, some good people in the House who are not all in with all that garbage. I think Senator Rand Paul in the Senate, I think Louis Gohmert from Texas in the House, he is an exceptional individual. There are a few others like that. Representative Jim Jordan, for example. What do you think about MTG? Yeah, she's a fighter, right? But by and large, it's all the same. It's all the same wool pulled over our eyes again and again. So you're just supposed to sit back and wait while your country is obliterated and everybody you know is exterminated and the economy you once knew is decimated. And then at some point, it'll be too late. We may already be there. It'll be too late. It's kind of like when the Jews were asking each other, in the early days of World War II, like, should we fight the German soldiers? And they're like, no, it's not going to be that bad. Don't be a doom and gloomer. The soldiers say they're going to take us to a place and feed us and give us cots, places to sleep. And so a lot of Jews went along with it and they did not resist. And then they got, mass murdered. That's when the real war comes to you, they don't tell you that they're attacking you. When the war comes to you, as it has now through the needle, they present the war as something that's good for you. Oh, you're going to love this. We care about you. It's about your public safety. Oh, come on, take the shot. Yeah, because we want you to be healthy. And if you're pregnant, we want you to have a healthy baby. Yeah. It's all in the language of helping you while they are exterminating you. And by the time most people figure it out, it's way too late. Of course, totally run by China, big tech run by China. Yep, all the major media outlets influenced by China. They actually get paid to run Chinese propaganda. The New York Times, Washington Post just used to run like full page, quote, news articles, just paid communist Chinese propaganda. They even admitted it. You know, just ask the question that needs to be asked. But they won't let me interview him. All right, let me switch gears here before getting too deep into this. Cover a couple of other news items that are noteworthy. But first, brighteonbooks.com is up and running, and you can purchase books from us there. Well, I should say we're in the process of making that donation. The check hasn't been sent out yet because everybody's on vacation, but it's getting done. So you support us, we support humanity in a lot of different ways. And then also Brighteon Radio is launching in January. That's going to be brighteonradio.com. And we have a lot of great hosts who are going to be participating in that. That's in addition to brighteon.tv. So I'll bring you more news about that announcement when brighteonradio.com actually goes live. And by the way, Alex Jones did go public with more details about what happened with his wife being arrested for domestic violence over, I think it was Christmas Eve. And since Alex talked about it publicly, I'll just share that here. And then it caused her to snap, and she actually ended up attacking two, I don't know, was it Travis County Sheriff's deputies, I think it was, at their property. And the law enforcement officials showed great restraint. They were able to de-escalate the situation, and they took her to jail. It's about the history of drug addiction and drug abuse and drug smuggling and drug cartels. The whole history really of Western civilization is about drugs. And now pharma has just legalized drugs and yet still managed to hook people on drugs. And it's an atrocity against humanity, all the mind control. It even goes back to the British occupation of China, right back hundreds of years ago, and the opium wars and the opium addiction of the Chinese people, and so on and so forth. The colonization of the world has often been achieved with addictive substances. This is about to get launched big. This is going to be in all the retail outlets next year, and it's going to be huge. And they're shipping cases of it right now. In fact, they shipped me a case. I just can't believe how amazing their packaging is too. It's really, really well done. But cravekicker.com, so they take psychiatric drugs. They don't want to face having to learn self-defense, so they call 911 and hope that other people with guns will come solve their problem. This is about society as a whole shrinking away from responsibility and begging others to do the work for them. And it's a childlike approach to solving problems. It's not an adult response. We are not an adult society. We are a society of children, of shallow children, superficial children, obsessed with social media and physical looks and likes and retweets and votes and all of this nonsense that's captured in that film. Look up. It's a superficial society run by children, not adults. Well, they get censored and blacklisted and demonized because in a shallow, superficial society, the truth is the enemy. You can't have any truth. That might be disruptive to this whole system. We are in a society that pretends to be run by the rule of law and a system of justice and a scientific method and fact checkers and all of this stuff, but it's all nonsense. It's all an act. It's all a bunch of emotionally harmed little children begging for mommy and daddy to bail them out and take responsibility for them because people are cowards. They don't have the courage to face reality and make the hard choices that would take ownership of problems and actually solve problems. The day the party stops when you were in high school and you were drinking beers and having fun, and then the parents came home. Oh, party's over. Yeah, all of a sudden reality kicks in and it sucks. That day's coming for society. Parents are coming home. But I think in our case, it's going to be more like God shows up. God's judgment. That's the big cosmic parent to say, what have you crazy, insane, petulant children been doing? You've been partying this entire time, Sodom and Gomorrah, free money printing, snorting coke with Hunter Biden or whatever, and you haven't been acting like adults. Guess what? There's a day of reckoning here. We won't talk about any of this, right? It's just so insane. Has it really become that political that we can't talk about things that save lives now? We can't help people? And that's where we are, because the governments of the world, especially China, have declared war on the human race. They are trying to exterminate, well, not all humans, but humans that are Americans specifically. They're trying to mass murder Americans. And frankly, they are succeeding, because so many of the American consumers are they're such cowards, as already mentioned, but they're so ignorant. So they're just brainwashed morons. They have no idea what's happening in the world around them. They're living in an artificial reality. And as we're discovering now, the layers of this artificial world are more vast than we might have imagined if many conservative leaders are also actors. Looks like the whole thing is a stage. Looks like we've all been played at some level. But at least you and I are questioning it. At least we're banging on the walls of the Matrix and trying to figure out, whoa, how do we get red pilled out of here? Whereas everybody else is just enjoying their juicy blue pill steak, thinking that that's the real world. Now, on an even bigger philosophical level, of course, this whole thing is a simulation. We're living in a kind of cosmic simulation that I believe was created by God, created by our Creator, and our consciousness is injected into this simulation because this is a testing ground to find out what we're made of, to find out who we are, to find out what kind of morals and ethics we will operate with when we have no memory of who we are and where we came from. And that's why we're born without a memory. We have to rediscover who we are. It's the ultimate test, the ultimate journey of the hero returns. It's a journey of self-discovery. And sadly, most people are failing that test quite miserably. It's rather clear. But even inside this simulation, because this cosmos, it's all energy, the so-called matter is just illusion, consciousness intertwined with probability waves creates the perception of matter, and then we make it real, and all of this kind of thing. It's all empty space. But anyway, it feels very real, when you stub your toe on a piece of furniture. Ouch, gosh, that felt very real. I hate this 3D world, that kind of thing. When you stub your toe, or you break your pinky toe. You ever done that? That's painful. But even inside this simulation, then there are other layers of deception and theatrics, and that's what we're trying to sort through right now. Think about it. This really is like a hub of satanic deception. So they weave all of these illusions for your mind, and then they prevent you from making contact with what is real, which includes the Creator, by the way. The Creator is real, and that's why they're all anti-God, anti-spirit, anti-consciousness, because they don't want you to make a connection with the Creator of this cosmos. They don't want you to realize that you are more than human, you see. You are much more than human. You are, in fact, an expression of the Creator. You have many traits of the Creator that have been gifted to you. Consciousness is one of them. But you also have the ability to broadcast and share information and knowledge using nothing but your mind. And they hate the fact that we, the people, are waking up. We're waking up big time. And we're waking up and realizing there's so much more to this universe, so much more to this world than just stupid little quests for more Bitcoin or whatever. Even in my own prepping, I know it's just silly. Yeah, sure, I have 3 sewing machines. I get it. But that's not my goal, is to have stuff. That's just so that we can stay alive and stick around and pursue the things that really matter, which is in the realm of spirit and consciousness and creativity and being awakened, being uplifted, making that connection with the divine. That's what matters. All the other stuff is just to keep us here so we don't die in the process, especially given what's coming. So the fact that we're waking up really angers the Satanists. And that's why they're going on this global mass murder spree. So I would imagine that at the end of all of this, how in the Bible it says, and I don't know where it says this, but it says there's only 144,000 people that are saved at the end of all this. Is that in the book of Revelation? I'm not sure. 144,000 people, that's it. Now, I don't know if that number has to be like inflation adjusted for the current population or what, but out of all the world's population of almost 8 billion people, I wouldn't be surprised if it's only a few 100,000 that get through all of this with their souls intact. We're in this for the real challenge, the challenge of self-discovery as an extension of the will of God. That's why we're here. All this other stuff it becomes very quickly irrelevant, especially so-called money. Money is meaningless. It really is. I mean, it's a means to pay the bills, buy food, and so on and so forth. But when people pursue it as an end unto itself, they are deceived and they walk down the path of Satanism at that point. If they just pursue greed for greed's sake, they've lost track of their humanity and their divinity. They've lost track of what really matters. And I see this in Trump, just the quest of fame, of his name, of his wealth. So you and I, let us be among those who rebuild human civilization without the evil influence of communism and demonism and globalism. I think there's a chance that we can defeat these evil bastards and we can actually have a golden age of human civilization that goes way beyond anything we've ever experienced in our lifetimes, because we can unleash all of this true technology, like cold fusion technology, as I mentioned. Oh my God, Omicron, mass hysteria. It's all theater for your mind to keep you imbalanced so you can never gain a good foothold and anchor yourself in the truth. And that's why I'm banned. That's why I was banned many, many years ago, because they could see early on that I could connect people to their divine truth. And that's the biggest threat to the globalists. Not someone who has facts, but someone who can help people connect to divinity. It goes way beyond facts. It goes to cosmic truth. And that's where we are. That's the realm in which we play. Because so-called facts, as we've seen with the fact checkers, that's subject to human perception and analysis, which is by definition biased. But cosmic truth is only subject to the laws of God, who created the universe and therefore set the rules of the entire cosmos, the rules in which we operate, such as cause and effect, the flow of time, the non-locality nature of consciousness, the ability to transmit and receive information, all these other things. We agreed to be here. God put us here. We chose the most difficult test in the universe for whatever reason. This is like a personal challenge of our soul or something. And here we are. And you and I are among the most blessed of all humans here, because most will fail this test. We still have a chance to succeed. We have a chance to pass this test because we are now discovering who we are, where we came from, why we're here, what this is all about, and we can see the fakery of the matrix all around us, which means they cannot imprison us with it because we can see through it. So consider yourself incredibly blessed, and I consider myself blessed as well. We are on the verge of a breakthrough in human consciousness and human history. And this is why they're coming for us so aggressively. But I think they will fail. So there we are. There's a summary for you. 3 days, 4 days after Christmas, whatever it is. 2021. So thank you for listening.